Oh yeah, this is another Sheffield Eagles memories for me. Let's get the logo in. Get your logo in. There we go. New Jersey, tight as anything as you can be. Very simply, this is about one of them. This is about Mr. Bendy. Very simply, Mr. Bendy, better known as Michael Cook, or Mick Cook, or Mr. Bendy, whatever you wanted to call him. Unfortunately, we got the news this week that Mick is suffering with Alzheimer's. And I just want to go over my memories of Mick at Sheffield Eagles in a time. He's also been he's been a coaching staff, Leeds Rhinos, York, and Sheffield Eagles with Mark for a few years from the noughties. But it's on the field where Mick's contribution was immense. He was signed from the Queen's Club, I think it was in Leeds, in 86, 87. And he was 26. And he had to be persuaded by Gary Edrington and Steve Ferris and Howard Cartwright to turn pro because he thought he was too old at 26 to turn professional. And they said, no, you'll be good. You'll be all right. Come down and have a go. And from the moment that Mick arrived, he made the number 9 position his own. Didn't care where he played in the forwards, but Mick played. He played prop, he played second row, he played loose forward. He played everywhere. But it's a hooker that most of the time you remember. I mean, it's like I said at the start. His nickname was Mr. Bendy. And the reason is, as soon as he hit you, he bent you in half. And that's where the nickname comes from. His contribution on field, second to none. Whether it was wearing the tape around his ears or wearing a scrum cap. Famous victories. He's got two he's got 2 Premiership titles, a Championship winning medal in the 2nd Division with the Eagles. Runners up, I think it was in the Yorkshire Cup final with the Eagles in 92. But his contribution away for 4 years straight. 4 years, he was voted Players' Player of the Year by the fellow players of Sheffield Eagles. Now, let's put that into context. 4 years in a row that your fellow professionals of that club vote you as the Player of the Year. This is in the era where Mark Aston's been, when McDowell's there, Paul Broadbent. We had all the great players that were playing for us from overseas. Bruce Maguire, Jeff Hardy. We had all these guys there. Tuara Nikau. Everybody's player of the year. Francis Leota. Eva Purapati. And Danny McAllister. We had all these great, obviously, Gary Jack. He beat Gary Jack to Players of the Year in 1993. Gary Jack was second to Mick. Give you that idea. He beat by Gary Jack in the year that he had at Sheffield Eagles. Gary Jack came second. This is the magnitude of this guy. Where on the pitch, I always remember seeing him with these big white baggy shorts and his legs, but boy could he go. When he was playing against Widnes, the great Widnes side of the late 80s, Wigan. In 87 or anything like that, or whoever he was playing against, Mick knew that you would come off that pitch knowing who Michael Cook or Mick Cook was. And boy, did you know about it. Mick's, it's not a case of just like who he is, what he did. And he was a tackling machine. The early days of Don Valley Stadium, the Nomad season of 89, all the way through his career, the promotion year of 88, 89, Mick's contribution at Hooker was crazy. He should have been given the Yorkshire job at Hooker. I played for Yorkshire at some point, but for some crazy reason, everybody else seems to get a go instead of Mick. Mick was that good. He was amazing. The amount of times he did the Premiership final of 89, he just went on that road. Him and Warren Smiles were just crazy. If Mick was injured, Warren would take over at hooker. And Warren was injured, then Mick went up against some of the best hookers in Britain. Sheffield Eagles signed Lee Jackson. So Garrington moved Mick to hooker. Probably not hooker, prop. So Mick would play. So Mick would play 10. So you had Paul Broadbent, Lee Jackson, and Mick Cook. Mick would play anywhere for Sheffield Eagles in that forwards. He was that good. He didn't care where he played, and he'd show everybody exactly who was the boss. It's wonderful to see the memories that you have of certain players when you go on the pitch. It's like when he come off, he always looked smart. He dressed smartly as a rugby league player. He always looked it with the school, with the team blazer on it. What I remember is the team blazer, the shirt, the tie. He always looked smart off the pitch. He represented the club the best he could. He always looked. If he had to wear a tracksuit, he'd wear a tracksuit. But he always looked good. And when he went on that pitch, that number 9 shirt, Sheffield Eagles, you knew who he was getting. Whether it was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Mick was there. Start of Super League, Mick was there. Then the season that was 4 months, Mick was there. Mick was also helping. We signed a young lad by the name of Johnny Lawless. Johnny Lawless ended up playing in the Cup side in '98. I wish Mick would have been there. I really do. But I know Mick was cheering us on somewhere as well. Mick's... If I had to make my 13 greatest players of all time, the Sheffield Eagles, Mick's number 9. There's nobody else that comes close to Mick. He always had time for supporters. Always had time to say hello. You enjoyed that? Yeah. Beating Wigan 10-5. Mick went up against Martin Dermott and the Might of Wigan. Boy, did they know who they were up against Mick that day. The first match at Don Valley against Wakefield Trinity in 1990. 34-6. Mick there again. Wherever it was, you knew Mick was on that pitch. And Mick was an electric guy to watch. Hard working as they come. One of the hardest guys I ever saw in a Eagles jersey. He hit you, you knew you was hit. Tackling machine. He's a legend of name that gets used. Not enough for me. But Mick is above a legend. Mick is that good. He's in the Hall of Fame of Sheffield Eagles. He was inducted in 2012. That's the contribution of Mick Cook. Mick, if you're watching this, keep fighting, sunshine. Keep well. Other memories I've got is he did contributions in the Premiership in 1989. First round against Doncaster, we beat him at Oldham Stadium, and then we had to go to Barrow, and everybody thought that we'd lose to Barrow, but we won 13-9, I think it was. So we was playing Swinton at Old Trafford in the first final of Sheffield Eagles history, 5 years after we started, and Mick won the Premiership medal. Darryl Powell got the man of the match because he scored a hat-trick. He always had to show off, didn't you, Daz? 89-90, first year in First Division. Mick was always against Phil. You asked Phil McKenzie of Widnes what it's like to face Mick Cook when we beat Widnes 31-6. We beat the first fixtures in the First Division against Featherstone, Wakefield, Barrow, when we won 3 of the first 4. And then we faced Widnes at Old Trafford, at Bramall Lane, and showed the world the Eagles. And the following week, we was a couple of points away when we lost to Cass 22-24. We played at Chesterfield that year and everything, and Mick was always there at number 9, with Gary Van Bellen and Paul Broadbent above others. Mick Cook is a legend of this business, of rugby league. The legend of life, bigger than life, is Mick. There's nobody that would be better as a number 9. If anybody wants to watch, this is in the year, by the way, of winning the ball against the head. This is not This is not uncontested scrums. This is contested scrums. This is when you won a ball against the head. And on Scrum Down, the TV show, when we were on Widnes, we won the ball against the head, which meant that when you put the ball in, the first person to see that ball for that couple of milliseconds early was the other team's hooker. So if their scrum half was putting it in, you always saw the ball second. But Mick won it against Phil McKenzie, who was classed as the best hooker in the game that time. Won it against the head. You cannot get bigger than that. Mick always knew that scrum. He knew what to do with that scrum. He was amazing. Mick, we love you. We always have and we always will. Everton's number 88 as well is Mick. God bless you, sunshine. Keep fighting, will you? To everyone at Sheffield Eagles, Leeds, York, Queens, wherever it is they've known you. We're fighting for the pal. Right? Thank you very much for everything you've done for this club, for everything you did in rugby league. We love you, we worship you, and we wish you nothing but the healthiest happiness in this world. You take care, sunshine. You keep fighting. This has been another episode of Sheffield Eagles Memories. Mr. Bendy, Mick Cook. See you soon.